Okay, there we go. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, welcome, and thanks all for joining us for our very interesting fellowship assembly this morning. So I'm happy to introduce Dawn Byford, who is our guest speaker for today. She's a graduate with honors in holistic nutrition from the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition, a plant-based educator and cook, a plant-based nutrition, food, sustainability professional through the Colin Campbell Centre for Nutrition Studies, a co-chair of ESRAG's Plant-Rich Diet Task Force, and a proud member of the Rotary Club of Canmore in District 5360. Teaching others how to nourish their bodies and spirits while saving the planet through delicious, whole, plant-based meals is her passion. She has partnered with local organizations, including the Town of Banff, Town of Canmore, and the Biosphere Institute of the Bow Valley, providing planet-friendly cooking classes for all ages, and presents to Rotary clubs throughout with her ESRAG role. Dawn has witnessed the power of lifestyle medicine in her own personal health journey, which enhanced her passion for helping others rediscover their own power and vitality. She believes strongly in the resiliency of the human spirit, the intelligence of nature, and in the transformative power of vitamin L. So welcome, Dawn. We're so excited to hear what you have to tell us today.
Thank you, Tammy. And it's so nice to see everybody today. And hi, Kitty, and hi, Doug. And thank you, Kim and Tammy and everyone for having me on. I'm really pleased to be here and honored that you've asked me to come join you. So today we're going to do a presentation. I'm just going to share my screen, and then afterwards we're actually going to add in, I don't always do this, a little mini cooking demo for us. So three little fun, quick recipes, and I have handouts for everybody, a recipe list that everybody can take home with them as well. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can everybody see that okay? Yep. Is that working? Okay, excellent. All right. So again, thank you for inviting me here. And I'm really excited there's actually an e-club dedicated to all of Canada because I've lived all over Canada. So I might like to join someday because we do a lot of traveling ourselves. But before I begin, I just want to emphasize in this presentation that I respect and hold space for everybody's food choices, because we know that food is much more than just eating a meal. It holds deep emotional, cultural, and traditional significance. And personally, I'm from the Maritimes. I grew up surrounded by hunting and fishing and all that stuff, and I'll still enjoy the occasional lobster when I visit home. And even though I was teaching plant-based cooking classes in Banff and Canmore for health benefits, I really had no idea the far-reaching environmental benefits until I joined ESRAG. We are always learning. My goal today is to foster empowerment through awareness. So we're going to go through the what is a plant-rich lifestyle, why we might want to do it, some of the hows, and then we're going to do a fun cooking demo with something I call Pea Spark, and do a nice vanilla cashew cream and some date choco bars. And then if we have time for Q&A, and we'll hand out some take-home recipes, and we have a nice little video if we have time. We may not, but Kit has they have the link so they can share it with you after. So just to get started, to talk about ESRAG, I don't know if everybody's familiar with it, but it stands for the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. And it was formed many years ago. And as you know, Rotary created the environment as its 7th area of focus. And the idea was to create task forces that will focus on the most effective climate actions. And that's why the Plant-Rich Diet Task Force was created. And this quote really says it all. Serving humanity like we want to is impossible without a healthy planet. And I encourage you all to join. It's been so incredible for me in my Rotary journey, and I've made connections all over the world with Rotarians. And there's lots of resources on our website, and there's many task forces that you can join. So here's one of the kind of sobering things of why we need this task force. This is in 2015. we're in currently what scientists call a polycrisis. Of the 9 planetary boundaries that keep Earth safe and livable, and this is in 2050, and they knew we had surpassed 5. And as you can see, agriculture is a big driver of nearly all of them. So those are the black dots. Actually, agriculture, when you look at climate change, is a much, much bigger portion than that. When we move into what's happening in 2023, we've surpassed 6, and I now know that we've just surpassed 7 ocean acidification. Our current food systems are a major contributor to most of these problems. And with climate change, there's updated research that our industrial agriculture system could be responsible for up to 60% of global warming, which is huge. We have interviews with climate scientists on that if you'd like to learn more. And yet over 1 billion people are obese, while nearly 900 million go hungry. The hidden costs of our food systems have surpassed $14 trillion since the Paris Agreement was signed, according to the Food Systems Economic Commission. And transitioning to a sustainable food system could save $5 to $10 trillion annually in environmental and health costs. So some of the middle of this, what I'm going to share with you, is a bit heavy, but hold tight, because there's good news and there's hope. But in the same time, what can an individual Rotarian do? I really used to think it wasn't much as an individual, but it turns out it's a lot. So who would have thought it would have been on our plates? This is plant-rich eating. And so what is it? This is a plate made by the Eat Lancet Planetary Commission. So that's a bunch of scientists from all over the world. They got together, and they're a global climate think tank to tease out the optimal diet for human health and environmental sustainability, yet still honoring traditional and cultural practices. And what did they find? To really eat 90% whole plant foods, that's mostly whole plant foods, focusing on fruits, veggies, legumes, so that would be your beans, peas, lentils, etc., whole grains, nuts and seeds. I'd also add herbs and spices, because not only are they super nutritious for us, they add great flavor to any dish. As we all know, I have a very overflowing spice cupboard, whether it's plant-based or not. So this plate allows for planet-friendly plants to take center stage while still honoring traditional and cultural practices with a small amount of meat, dairy, eggs, and fish. But yes, if you do decide to eat a fully whole food, plant-based diet, you can get all the nutrients you need, and yes, including protein, from plants and truly thrive. And keep in mind, this is not an all or nothing. This just provides a guiding light on what to aim for, but every single step we take in this direction helps. It's about intention, not perfection. And so, did you ever imagine that climate action could look this delicious? Because I didn't. A whole food, plant-rich lifestyle goes far beyond kale. It's about delicious meals and nourishing, satisfying recipes packed with essential nutrients to keep us in top health. Vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients. And phytonutrients, by the way, just means nutrients that are in the plants that help us that aren't a vitamin or mineral. Then antioxidants, hello anti-aging, and my personal favorite, fiber. And fiber is only found in plants, and most of us are in dire need of more. And what we choose to eat doesn't just affect our health, it shapes our communities, our environment, and even our prospects for peace. And the goal here is to keep these foods as whole as possible, because that way our bodies can absorb the nutrients they need. Our bodies are incredibly intelligent and always working to restore balance. We just need to provide the best inputs to help them do so. And so what does that mean for us? It's pretty simple. You know, the produce section is really your best friend. An apple makes a fantastic snack. Eating healthy doesn't have to be complicated, and it also doesn't have to be expensive. But if you are following a fully plant-based diet, It's recommended to take B12 supplements, and you can do that through a multivitamin. But guess what? Many of us who don't eat only plants are often low in B12 too. So let's start to move into more of the why. So this is a graph from Project Drawdown, and Project Drawdown was the original partner of ESRAG, and it's a respected global climate think tank. They concluded that plant-rich diets are the most powerful individual action a person can take to fight climate change. And that's based on not even, I think it's something like 50% of the population doing 75% plant-based. So think about if it was even more. And we're talking about, what's really important to note is we're also, we're talking about us high consumers are really the main culprits here in North America and Europe and other wealthier countries. So if we were to look at it, this is the top 20 solutions of 93, but plant-rich diets are 10 times more impactful than driving an electric vehicle. And that's not to say driving an electric vehicle is not important. It's very important. It is all hands on deck right now. We need all our climate actions. But even if fossil fuel emissions were to stop tomorrow, food systems alone would still make it difficult to keep warming below 2 degrees Celsius. And that's not being talked about enough. And then also, these benefits ripple out through what are called complementary climate impacts, helping to reduce disease, hunger, and inequality. This means stronger, more resilient communities and fewer conflicts over scarce resources in the future. In other words, food changes everything. So if we start to dive into this a little bit on the climate change piece. So this is the greenhouse gas emissions involved in protein production. So we all know about cow farts. Methane is now proven to be about 3 times more powerful than they originally expected. So this might be even higher. But this is a chart of emissions for 100 grams of protein. And we see that animal-based proteins generally produce much more emissions than plant-based ones. They're all the ones in the red. And so these gases mainly come from 3 sources. So CO2, so that's from deforestation for grazing and feed crops. The methane, which we know, the cow farts and burps, and also produced from the manure pools and things. But farm animals produce 200 to 500 liters daily. And then also nitrous oxide from fertilizers, pesticides, and also manure pools, which is 273 times more potent than CO2. And at any given time, there are over 3.5 billion ruminants, so that's cows, sheep, pig, goats, on the planet. And to put things in perspective, if cows were a country, they'd be the 3rd largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions, greater than all transportation combined. And this isn't including the updated research published this year, so this could even be a vast underestimation. And what's happening here? It's simply that raising animals consumes large amount of resources for very little output. And as the world's population and wealth grow, unfortunately, the demand is increasing. So animals are just very inefficient at turning plant matter into meat for us to eat. So for example, chickens require 9 calories of feed, such as corn or soy, to produce just 1 calorie of edible meat. This can result into up to an 800% food waste before it even reaches the consumer. But however, these figures pale in comparison to other meats, such as beef, which needs 25 to 30 calories of input for 1 calorie of edible meat. So this results in significant waste of valuable resources and causes considerable suffering for very little food produced. And yet, like I mentioned before, 800 million people, that's 1 in 10, experience hunger every single day. So by shifting our dietary preference toward more plant-rich diets, we can free up resources to feed everyone without further deforestation or the loss of natural ecosystems. And according to the study done on livestock long shadow by Steinfeld, H. et al., without livestock to feed, we would have a 50% surplus of food. So this is something that I never really thought about in food production, is water. And it's often overlooked by most of us, of course, except for almonds. We all know about the almonds. But livestock and crop cultivation for animals uses nearly 75% of all fresh water use on Earth. For example, producing 1 kilogram of beef needs 15,000 liters of water, whereas 1 kilogram of potatoes, you only need 287 liters. Now, nuts do need 8,000 to 9,000 liters per kilogram, but their impact is much smaller due to less consumption. When you think about a handful of nuts, you don't really eat that many. When you consider the meat, the beef, you have a big steak. And they also help the environment in other areas. Now, for a fun fact, my husband likes to hear this, a glass of beer only takes 74 liters to produce, and a cup of tea for us teetotalers only 27 liters. And the planet's water is finite. Our current use exceeds replenishment, including we're now depleting deep aquifers that take thousands of years to restore. So it's threatening future water supplies for future generations. And water pollution is another big issue. You can see in this top corner here, the slide from the algae blooms. That's a picture from space from NASA. They're caused by runoff of fertilizers, pesticides, and manure. They create ocean dead zones in a process called eutrophication. It basically takes the oxygen out of the water. And this is not a minor issue. Over half of the US rivers and lakes are unsuitable for aquatic life, covering more than 34,000 miles. I don't have any stats on Canada, unfortunately. And according to World Preservation Foundation, to ensure sufficient water by 2050, we need to reduce animal-based foods to about 5% of total calories. So that's a 75% reduction that's recommended. And if you see this kind of fun little poster on the bottom corner, if you want to save 1,300 gallons of water, and yes, this is US, don't flush for 6 months, don't shower for 3 months, or for lunch today, don't eat 1 burger. And I can tell you, veggie burgers take about 95% less water than a beef burger would do. So here's the, really big thing, land use change. Industrial agriculture threatens the life support systems we have by replacing natural ecosystems that are vital for the planet's health. And so, again, a global shift to plant-based diets could free billions of acres, land that's more than the US, the EU, China, and Australia combined, restoring forests, protecting indigenous lands, and securing food for everyone. Every single second, 1 to 2 acres of rainforest are cleared for animal farming. In the 2 minutes of part of my talk, about 120 to 240 acres are lost. And forests are crucial. They sequester carbon, yes, but they also provide habitats, regulate climate, produce clean air, prevent soil erosion, offer shade, and enhance our mental health. Have you ever tried forest bathing? I know it's one of my favorite things to do. So you can see from here on a standard American diet, it takes about 2 football fields to feed a single person. On a plant-based diet, that same land can feed 14 people. And that becomes an issue as our population grows in the world. So then what about the animals themselves? Due to our actions in taking away their habitats and killing them, wildlife populations have decreased by 70% since 1970. Our food system is the leading cause of biodiversity loss and on both land and sea, contributing to the current state of what is known as Earth's 6th mass extinction. Sorry, just 1 sec here. Okay. And remember, biodiversity is vital for our stability, and actually even more of a pressing issue at this moment than climate change, because it forms the foundation of our ecosystems and supports everything from food security to the health of the planet. Yet it's declining at an alarming pace. And without biodiversity, ecosystems and even human societies are at risk of collapsing like a house of cards, and currently over 1 million species are threatened with extinction. So I like to show this because this really shocked me when I first saw this. It gives us some idea of the scale of all the biomass of mammals currently on Earth. We see wildlife has been squeezed out to that tiny little box on the top, 4%, and that's 2% each of marine and land mammals. And this is from our World in Data. And to give you an idea of the scale, as I mentioned before, there's 3.5 billion ruminants on the planet and over 25 billion livestock in total at any given time. And us humans, we eat 80 billion land animals annually. And why are chickens there too? Because 70% of all birds on the planet are now chickens. So you may be thinking, or not, okay, I'll just eat more fish. Personally, I grew up in the Maritimes myself, eating lots of fish, so it really saddens me to share that unfortunately we're hurting our oceans as much as the land. Each year we're taking trillions of fish from our oceans. We just measure them in pounds, we don't measure them in individuals. This significantly reduces marine life populations, which is not only harming ocean ecosystems, but also affects the coastal communities that depend on fish for their food and livelihood. And so we'll just take a moment to discuss like some key issues. So first of all is bycatch. So about 40% of all sea creatures are unintentionally caught every year. So these are just discarded. So this really highlights the environmental impact of industrialized animal agriculture and how it's disrupting our marine ecosystems. And next, carbon. The process of bottom trawling, a very destructive process of dragging a weighted net along the sea floor. It's like strip mining. Basically, they take everything in its path. Usually it's done for shrimp, just for one species. It emits 1 gigaton of carbon annually. So that's more than the entire aviation industry combined. And then another key impact is ghost nets. About 45% of all threatened marine mammals have either been harmed or killed due to abandoned or lost fishing gear. And on top of that, it's estimated that over 80% of the plastic pollution in our oceans originates from fishing nets. So I just want to take a minute here because some of this stuff is, if you haven't seen it before, it can be pretty heavy. And as we take a breath in, something I didn't realize is that every second breath of our oxygen comes from our oceans. And this felt really humbling to me when I learned this. So protecting our marine life and ocean health isn't optional, it's survival. But they can recover and recover fast if we leave enough of it alone and protect it. And there's a lot of good work being done in this regard right now. So let's just take a moment to let that sink in. So if everybody wants to take a breath in, thank you to our trees. And take a second breath in. Thank you to our beautiful oceans. So now we're seeing that we really do affect the planet with what we eat and our fellow creatures. But let's talk a bit about our own health, because we're part of nature too. There's a vast amount of scientific evidence that what we eat does affect our health, and in a big way. We can really stem the epidemic of chronic non-communicable diseases like the ones shown here. Very, very effective in type 2 diabetes. We had speaker Brenda speak at our Building a Better World at the RECCO, and she's done work in the Marshall Islands on reversing diabetes with plant-based diets. The research from the Imperial College of London found that approximately 7.8 premature deaths globally could be prevented if people consume 10 servings of fruit and veggies every day. And so it's not all or nothing. So even 5 servings a day was helpful in reducing the chance for chronic disease and premature death. You can see that at Apple is getting pretty enticing now, a lot more enticing. As Dr. Colin Campbell, a legend in nutritional biochemistry, says, quite simply, the more you substitute plant foods for animal foods, the healthier you are likely to be. And so I like to show this little cartoon because this can feel a bit overwhelming. But I also have great faith in humanity and in our earth to recover. And as Rotarians, we are used to taking on big problems that seem insurmountable. Look what we have done with Polio Plus. Vaccinating 1 child at a time, and now we have, I think we've distributed 2.5 billion vaccines. And if we flip this perspective of what's happening and take a new look at it, think about these are all the things on this page that we can improve with the power of our plates. There is a planet B. And that's the key. That's why eating more plants and fewer animals matters so much. When we use fewer resources and sustainable practices, we put less strain on the planet so it can rebalance and stabilize itself. When we eat more plants, we can leave more of the land and oceans alone, giving the earth a chance to recover and rebalance. Every meal is another choice we can make for the health, our health, and the health of planet Earth. And is that worth a slice of bacon? So when we peer through the Rotary lens and examine our areas of focus, we see this one action of eating more plants and fewer animals connects to all of our missions: peace and conflict prevention, reducing scarcity, improving health, water conservation, less pollution, better nutrition for women and babies, reduced hunger, it gives better, improved learning outcomes, creates resilient communities and economic prosperity. And for the environment, it's like a Swiss Army knife for all of these things, saving our oceans and forests and biodiversity and mitigating climate change and reducing plastic pollution. And so what can you do now if you want to make some of these changes? It's okay to start small. Every step matters. It's most important that all of us do something. You can try the 80-20 rule and be gentle with yourself. This is a journey. It's about intention, as I mentioned, not perfection. Consistency is much more powerful than intensity. So you want to add in, don't deprive. Just maybe make meat a condiment and eat it less often. Baby steps. You want to enjoy your food, use familiar flavors, like we'll make jackfruit tacos, which are really good with all the same flavorings we would in regular tacos. And find a friend, create a community of support. Start a plant-based potluck that's been really successful with our friend Chris in Wenatchee in Washington, and have fun experimenting, because fellowship is also peace building. And be kind to yourself and others. We're all on different journeys. Let's support and unite rather than divide. Ultimately, we all want the same things: a healthy life and loving family and friends. You can start by making 1 club meal plant-based monthly, join our ESRAG 15-day plant-rich challenge, and we can help you find more projects. Food Plant Solutions Rotary Action Group is an excellent organization, and their core mission is to end hunger, malnutrition, and achieve food security for all by leveraging the power of local and nutrient-dense plants. By changing our food, we can change the world. And here's a few more strategies. Go meatless 1 day a week, one meal a day 100% plant-based, like breakfast. We now do overnight oats instead of eggs. Swap out cow's milk for non-dairy milk. There's lots of choices there, and just eat plant-rich whenever you can. And I know we're getting short on time here, so you want to eat the rainbow. And as Michael Pollan says, eat food, not too much, and mostly plants. And just one meat dish for a plant-based one, swapping that out saves greenhouse gas emissions equivalent to charging your phone for 2 full years. And here's some more overview of every day a person who eats a plant-based diet, and the water, the grain, the land, the CO2 in an animal's life get saved. So these small, consistent behaviors equal large consequences. We can do amazing things when we unite for good. And this is our Plant Rich Challenge. I invite you to join. We'll be sending out a link. It's super easy, it's super fun, and you get to choose all the things you'd like to do for it, and we'll give you all the support we can. So there's hope. All of us matter in this solution. And Rotary is in a perfect position to help because that's what we do best. And as Jane Goodall says, only if we understand will we care, only if we care will we help, and only if we help shall all be saved. Some more resources, and let's cook. So I'm going to put my video off for a sec so I can take my computer downstairs. Is that okay? Yeah, great. Oh, okay, good. Our timing's not too bad. Excellent. I thought I was running out of time. I could see my timer on my Canva. I was like, oh no, I've gone too long, but I think we're okay. All right, I'll just be one sec, everybody. Okay, so probably you need to pin me, I would think. Put me as the main viewer. I'm just going to take my background off just one sec.
I think if you set it at, instead of gallery, set it to speaker.
Speaker.
Yeah.
There we go. So now I'm in my kitchen.
Good.
All right, I'm just going to turn on the light here. Okay, so does everybody like to cook at home, or?
Yes.
Oh, cook. Yes.
Some people,
Yeah.
maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
I have friends that do both. Some people don't like to cook, and some people do. I'm going to do some simple, easy recipes. Kitty and Doug have seen these before, so this will be a repeat for you guys, but I just wanted to
I just want to make sure everybody has has this on speaker view rather than gallery view. If you're not familiar with that, up at the top of your screen, you've got that so you can see properly.
Okay.
Everyone should mute. Everyone should mute. Please.
Yes.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so now we're in part 2, everyone. Excuse my my unprofessional techiness, but so we're in my kitchen from the presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking it all in. I know it's kind of a lot all at once. I know it can be a bit of a fire hose, but it's really important climate action and personal health action and planetary action, as you can see. So we're going to do 3 quick recipes today. The first one is called Peace Bark. And Peace Bark is a wonderful, easy recipe that you can make with kids, you can make for yourself. It makes a whole cookie sheet of like a seed brittle, and it's really, really delicious and easy. And it's very Canadian because it has maple syrup. So I'm just putting my timer on so I see where I'm at here. There we go. Trying to be mindful of your time today. So there, okay. So we can see, excellent. So all I do is I'm gonna take 2 cups of seeds in this beautiful little concoction. So first of all, we're gonna put in sesame seeds. They really help, you know, those sesame snaps you can buy in the stores. They kind of give that kind of nice crunchy flavor. Sesame seeds, super high in calcium. This little 1/4 cup is 35% of your daily calcium. All nuts and seeds are antioxidants, full of antioxidants, or anti-inflammatory, lots of magnesium, which is good for our nervous system. This is also sunflower seeds, excellent for our bodies, and 1 cup of pumpkin seeds. And they are quite high in magnesium and also manganese, and really also good for sleep, particularly for menopausal women, I read. So, hey, I'll take whatever we can get, right? So we have 2 cups of seeds here. This way kids can take it to school. And we're just going to add some cinnamon and ginger. It's 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And I use the Sri Lankan, like a true cinnamon. It's got more nutritional benefits. I'm not saying the other one doesn't, so just use whatever you have. But this one, cinnamon, is actually good for blood sugar stabilization. And then a little bit of ginger, which gives it that nice pumpkin pie kind of feel. And also ginger's really good for our digestion. So this is a great thing to do with kids, because I'll tell you, kids will eat whatever they make. And I used to teach the kids in Banff, and they were so excited. And the parents would always be amazed that they'd eat beans and seeds and things like that they wouldn't try at home. It's because they made it themselves. So I encourage you to get your little ones in the kitchen. So we just mix that all up, super easy. And then we're going to add true Canadian maple syrup. It's 1/2 cup. And then we're also going to add a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So you just throw that all in there. And mix it. And one of the biggest things to make sure that you add when you're cooking is vitamin L. Lots of love. Thinking about how lucky we are to have food to eat. Think about how the people that are going to enjoy this with us. And this is a really good recipe to share with family and friends. It's a really good way to build peace and kindness amongst your neighbors. And also it's super great if you're running around and you're hungry or hangry and you want to take some of this with you. It'll help stabilize your blood sugar, stabilize your mood. And that's another reason that we call it Peace Bark. So it's just, and it's so super easy to make. It doesn't take much work at all. So there, that's it. It's done. And then we simply take a cookie sheet and you just spread it on the cookie sheet. And that takes the longest time of all of this, is just spreading the thing even. And this is a really pretty large cookie sheet, and it will make the entire cookie sheet. And you want to make sure you use parchment and go up the sides, because if this runs over, you won't like me very much. This will stick and it'll kind of cake and it'll be hard to get off. It kind of burns onto the cookie sheet. So you want to make sure you have parchment. Don't use wax paper, that won't work. Don't use foil. You need parchment to do this with. So now I'm not gonna, in the interest of time, I would normally spread that out and it'll cover the entire cookie sheet. Try and make it as smooth as possible. And then, with the magic of of prep the night before, we end up with this like, you know, this beautiful seed brittle that's like, it's really delicious. And what I like to do with it is I'll put it in a jar, and you can give it to friends, your fellow Rotarians, take it to work. The kids can take it to school. Great for hiking, sports, snacks, like whatever. It's super easy. It'll keep in the fridge forever, and it's a really nice snack. So we're gonna move on to our second little recipe. Now this one is one that is really great if you're trying to kind of move away from dairy and move into more, but kind of missing that creaminess. So this is called vanilla cashew cream. Cashews, again, all nuts and seeds are great for us. They're good for our digestive health, for our heart, good for our brain. You know, the thing is, if you're eating whole foods, our bodies will take all the wonderful nutrients out of them, and they will take whatever they need and leave what they don't. And it's just a beautiful synergy that we have with foods that are in their whole forms. So you want to take that. I've soaked these for about 3 or 4 hours. If you're in a rush, just soak them in hotter water, or if you have a really good blender, just blend them for longer. And that helps to make them more digestible as well. So we soak them, then we rinse them a couple times, and then I've just put them into the Vitamix, which is, by the way, if you don't have one and you like to cook, ask for this for Christmas, because I love this. It's my favorite. So we're going to put 2 cups of cashews. We're also going to add a little tiny touch of sea salt, which helps give flavor. And then, now, you usually put about 3/4 cup of water. I'm putting a tiny bit less water, and you can make this thin or thicker depending on what you like, because we're going to use half maple syrup and then some date paste. So this is actually a thinner date paste than I would normally make. And date paste is a really good way to have a whole food sweetener, and dates are excellent for us. So I'm just going to put a bit of this. This is a thinner one that I had set aside for an oat bake, but I do like the flavor and the thickness that it brings to making this. So we're just going to throw that in. And then the last thing would be our vanilla extract. Now, you can also do, so I'm going to do a teaspoon of that, but you can also do, if you happen to have real vanilla beans, and I don't know if you've seen vanilla beans, but they're very, very special because they're a pod from an orchid, right? And they're rare, and they have to be hand pollinated. So you open up this pod, and the seeds are just tiny, tiny. They're smaller, you can barely see them. And if you put those in, then they make a really beautiful little tiny black dots in it, and they also enhance the flavor quite a bit. But you don't have to use those. It'll still taste good with just your regular extract. Okay, so for time's sake, we're just going to throw in a couple of this, and then I'm going to grab my blender. I'm going to mute myself for 1 sec just while I blend this because it's loud. Okay, trust me, you would not want to have heard that. But, so then what we get is this beautiful, I mean, it's like, almost like magic, right? You just take these nuts and you end up with this gorgeous, let me just get a spoon here. You end up with this gorgeous, beautiful, like, you know, creamy stuff, and it's a dip, and you can use it, so you could use that in, to put like a parfait, you can use it to dip fruit in, you can take it just as a snack and then just cut up a bunch of fruit and have it at work or have it wherever. It's a really beautiful thing that I love to have around. And it also freezes really well. So I'll put them in little mason jars and then I'll freeze them and then pull them out as I need them. And it's a really nice replacement for dairy. That is really, really good. Yeah. So I'll get to eat all this after the fact, which is great. And I'll show you a little setup for a dessert when we're done. So that's a vanilla cashew cream. The next thing I want to show you is a really another kind of snack that you can just have in the freezer. It's also great for guests as a dessert. And these are called date choco bars. So all it is you take dates and you have a nut butter. I happen to have almond butter. And then you have chocolate chips or melted chocolate. So what I'm showing here is kind of a technique that I like to do. I like to just buy a dark chocolate bar. This is a Lindt, you want at least 70% to have the nutritional benefits, and dark chocolate is one of your highest sources of magnesium. And magnesium calms our nervous system and reduces stress. We all need more of that. So I just buy a dark chocolate bar, and I'll take the foil off here. I simply just like cut it up into squares. And you can use this in any recipe, you know, that calls for chocolate chips. But what we're going to do in this case is we're actually going to melt this chocolate. And I'll show you what we do. So that's all I need to do. I'm going to stick it on, just pour it on like that, super easy. And I'm just spreading them out, like just roughly. And I'm gonna put it in the oven. This is at 350. For 2 minutes. You do not want to over melt this in the oven. It's the easiest way to melt chocolate, honestly. You don't want to over melt it though, because it'll get really cakey and you won't be able to use it. It's going to be ruined. So you want to do it when you can't even tell that they're melted yet. They won't look like they're melted, but when you pull them out after 2 minutes, they definitely will. So watch your oven. It might even be, depending on your oven, it could be even less. In the meantime, we're going to take the dates. So these are dates I get from Costco, the medjool dates. I really like those. They also have kind that are in the bag that are already pitted. But if you buy these medjool dates, they're nice and big. You always want to pit your date, because sometimes there is black mold in dates, unfortunately, and it's from moisture getting built up in them. So you're just going to cut the date, you just pit it. Again, this can be done with kids. This can be done after dinner, and you stick them in the freezer, and then I'll always have them as a snack. And then you're just going to take a little bit of the almond butter or nut butter. You can put anything in the middle that you want, really, just about half a teaspoon. And you just squish them together like that. Super easy. And this is all, you know, this beautiful, it's whole foods. Like, don't worry about eating dates. They've got tons and tons of fiber to help keep your blood sugar stable. And you don't need many either. When you're eating a lot of whole foods, you'll find that you'll be satisfied with just one or two. You know, if you go to McDonald's and obviously you ate, and then all of a sudden, like half an hour later, like, I'm hungry still, or I need something. Our bodies need real nutrients. So this kind of stuff gives your bodies real nutrients. So like I said, the produce section is your friend. And again, that's all I did. So this is going off. That's how quick it was. And I'm going to show you here. Oh, and see, as you can see, now this is, mine the Lindt chocolate bars are a little thinner now. It's already melted. So what we do then, just one sec here. What we do then is we just literally take this date and we just roll it in the chocolate like that. Super easy. And then as you can see, it's all nicely coated. You stick it back on the plate. And luckily I made some more of these too, so I'm going to show you so you don't have to watch all this. And so here you go. These have been, what you do is you coat them with the chocolate, you put them on the parchment, and then you'll put them in the freezer and let them sit there. And I keep them in the freezer all the time, and that's how I serve them, right from the freezer. This chocolate's not tempered, so if it gets too warm, it'll start to, you start to get chocolate on your hands. But right out of the freezer, they're so amazing. And this one was just in the fridge, so you can do that too. But if you're gonna have company and have people talking a little bit, it's probably good to take them right out of the freezer. And then you just eat them. It's like having a chocolate bar that's not a chocolate bar. It's actually good for you. So these are some of my little tricks and tips for plant-based eating. And with this type of thing, you could have, if you had more fruit, you can put this all out on a nice platter for people. If company pops in, you can just arrange those. You can put some strawberries on there, and you could have your vanilla cashew cream, and people could dip things in that. I've got some apple slices. So here you have a whole food dessert, fruit tray, that's just beautiful to look at, delicious to eat, good for your health, and good for the planet. So, I mean, I haven't really put it together very nicely yet, but, not bad for a couple of minutes of work. Anyway, so I'll take you back off the pin and we can go on to any Q&A. So thank you, everybody. Thanks.
I have to say, if you were going to give me a 3-course meal of what you just cooked, I'd be into plant-based food.
Yay! It's a delicious climate solution. That's what we say. It's a delicious climate solution. It's like, who would have thought? It made me so excited when I first found out how important this was for our planet.
And I have medjool dates in my fridge all the time. I'm going to have to try them.
Oh yeah, you will not regret it. You will have them in your freezer all the time. Like it's like a staple. It's like, and you only need one, honestly. You make a bunch, you make a dozen, stick them in the freezer. You only need one and just keep them in a container, covered container. And they're great. They're just a great little snack. Yeah, really nice.
I live in the UK. Marks and Spencer's does pitted medjool dates. They're expensive, but I always buy them because they're just you can eat them right away, right? So you don't have to worry about anything.
So good for you too. They're so good. I used to make when I used to work for a naturopath, I made Daterade. And so dates are really good natural electrolytes. So we would just blend dates with water and put a bit of sea salt, and you could have that instead of Gatorade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's lots of, think about Whole Foods. There's lots and lots of ways to use plants to make them really, really nutritious, delicious, and satisfying for ourselves. Yeah.
Lovely.
This is
Now,
fascinating.
one question that, when you put the brittle in the oven, how long did you cook it for, and at what
Oh, good
temperature?
question.
Yeah.
I usually do 325 for 20 to 25 minutes, depending on your oven. You do want to make sure that it's bubbly in the middle because
Yeah.
you need it to be able to set. It needs to reach a certain temperature so that it'll set when it comes out. But
Gotcha.
if it hasn't quite set when you take it out, like it should be close, and usually within 10-15 minutes it'll come right, and it'll be, it'll be like oh, I put it over there. Just one second. It'll be like breakable, right?
Yeah.
And it won't be sticky on your fingers or anything. But yeah. So this is, my husband will be happy that I've done this today, because he's gonna have a whole bunch of this to snack on, because we're driving to BC in a couple days. So
Good.
Nice.
does anybody have any more questions, or?
So do you have the recipes that you shared today? Can we?
I do. I sent those in the email with my slides.
Okay, great.
So, and it actually has extra recipes, and I highly recommend you make them. So there's one that I sent that has it's a warm nacho dip. And my son's friend, who only eats at McDonald's, loves it. So I just want to tell you that you will get your plant-based and non-plant-based eaters enjoying it. My girlfriends all make it for their book clubs now. And it's based from the Oh She Glows cookbook, which is a cookbook I highly recommend. It's an excellent cookbook. I've got lots of others that I like, but she's like a really good starter point.
Tammy, you'll have to do a recipe corner on the bulletin and put in one a week that we can all try that.
Good idea.
Oh,
yes.
We can give a lot. And if you do our plant-based challenge that I mentioned, the starter kit that it comes with is from ROUXBE, Ruby, where I have my professional cooking certification from. They do non-plant-based cooking things too. They're the biggest online cooking school in the world, I think now. But what they have is on that handout towards the bottom, they have a little box with a link, and you can Google say, okay, it's like a search engine, and it says, oh, I have beans and lentils, and I have some broccoli, and it'll find recipes that they've curated on their site.
Wow.
And share them with you. So,
That's
and we've given you lots of recipes too. Our Plant Rich Challenge it's a speaker series as well. So every day there's a new speaker. And we start with like people that are professionals from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. They will walk you through the step-by-step of how important this is, the nutritional concerns, anything like that. And we have 15 days of speakers and then 15 more days of extra bonus content. It's just like, it was a really labor of love. We all did it in 2021 and just updated it recently in the last 6 months. So
fabulous.
Yeah, it's fun, user friendly, and it'll help you. Plus, we're all here. Like, honestly, I really sincerely mean it. Anybody that reaches out with feedback or ideas or questions or help, we're here for you, because we're really passionate about this, as you can tell. And it really does matter. And I know it's hard to transition when you're used to cooking a certain way. It takes time. It takes time to find a new habit, right? Any lifestyle change does. So especially with food, it can be tricky for people, especially if the rest of their family isn't so much into it, right?
Yeah.
It's another issue. Yeah.
Any other questions? Everybody's thinking in their head what they're going to make for supper now with all the goodies they have in their fridge. That's just really fabulous. I love the ideas.
Yeah. Stir fries are really easy too. I make curries at home. And lentils and beans are the most sustainable food on the planet. So you're eating those, they're great for you. If you're not used to eating them, just ease into them, cook them well, that type of thing. But they're really good for us and good for the planet. And You know, it's like this win-win-win. We're nature, nature's us. What's good for us is good for nature. It makes complete sense, right?
Right.
Kind of a
Yes.
no-brainer when you think about it.
That's right. Judy, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I can't see everybody, so
Yeah, I can't see anybody because I'm on my iPhone now.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Seeing any Wi-Fi. There's just too many trees even for our
Too many.
Starlink trees.
Yes.
So I'm doing it on my iPhone, and it's, you know, I don't have all the bars, but it's better than the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for that's a wonderful presentation. I'm
Yeah.
going to make every one of those recipes that you have demonstrated. It's just fantastic. And I'm going to sign up for that challenge as well. It
Me too.
sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can also support if you want to do for a club, like we can help with the logistics of getting it set up too. So, you know, just know that we're here. We've been working it out ourselves for the past few years. So we know how to make it happen if you're struggling at all with any of the tech,
Good.
things like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, the thing is that if all of us do something, it doesn't
Yes.
have to be everything. You don't have to give up, you know, so you still want to have your turkey dinner at Thanksgiving. Okay. But maybe through your daily life, through the week, you eat a lot more plants and occasionally have that turkey dinner, or have, like I do, I have lobster when I go home to Nova Scotia. You know, like there's ways to do it, because if even 40% of us, if we can reduce 40% of our meat intake, our animal product intake,
Mhm.
we can make a huge difference. So it's really about numbers. We need as many people doing something as possible. If a few of us are vegan, that's not going to cut it. We need the whole world to really make a change and understand the impact that we're having on the planet. Yeah. And it's not talked about. They talk about fossil fuels all the time. But as you can see, this is actually a bigger issue,
Mhm.
especially for biodiversity. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I know it was a bit heavy. I'm sorry for some of the
That's
middle
okay.
part, but I don't want to insult you by not showing
Yeah.
what's really happening as well. And you take whatever you want from that. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I just want to quickly say that I like the idea of the little snacks that you're doing right now. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, we always had a snack before we went to bed. And I still do that. I still have something before I go to bed. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's not the healthiest. So I'm looking at your ideas there and thinking, hey, there we go. Now I can have a couple of those dates and not feel guilty
Yeah.
of having them before I go to bed. So great ideas, and thanks so much.
You're
Yes.
welcome. I would not have dark chocolate before bed if you don't want to be kept up. Because personally, dark chocolate before bed would keep me up. But if you had the dates, even with the almond butter, and dip them in vanilla, you know, the cashew cream, or have fruit with the cashew cream, that should be good for your sleep. If
Yeah.
you still want to continue. If you're having any trouble with sleep, you might want to move how close to bed you have your
So
snack.
is it the caffeine that's in the chocolate?
Pardon?
Is it the caffeine that's in the chocolate?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I don't know.
But some
Caffeine
people aren't affected by caffeine.
doesn't seem to bother me.
Well, then have at her.
Yeah.
As we say in the Maritimes, have at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if I
That's
can't
right.
sleep, I'll call you at 3 a.m. and let you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, this is fantastic. Okay. Judy, did you have any other things you wanted to say before we end things, or?
Just thank you, everybody, for coming and to the fellowship meeting. It's just been great. So enjoyable.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
agreed with that. Really
Thank
great.
you.
We'll see you at the coffee chat next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Dawn, if you could just stay for a few minutes when everyone goes, I have a couple of technical things I'll ask you about, putting some of your stuff on our bulletin.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, thanks
Okay.
everybody for coming and listening.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Dawn.
taking your time. I really appreciate it. It was lovely
It's
to meet you all.
lovely to be invited into Dawn's kitchen again.